PANAF ECHO, the African perspective.
African geopolitics.
Ibrahim Traore explains how the West used terrorism to destabilize Burkina Faso and the Sahel. We cannot make a revolution without communicating. Some will say that we shouldn't talk too much, but when we don't talk, manipulation gains ground. Understand something. The father of the revolution communicated a lot. I am talking about Thomas Sankara here. And I remember his address to his peers in ECOWAS. He said that to break the umbilical cord that ties us to imperialism, we would not seek a state midwife with sharp fingers and a well-honed pair of scissors to cut the cord. Instead, you would need a robust lumberjack with a sharp axe to give a decisive blow and sever the cord. That says it all. Let me explain a little. How does imperialism behave? After the assassination of the father of the revolution, as expected, the regime that imperialism wanted was installed. All our factories that were in place were privatized. Our economy was dismantled. They set up a neo-colonial system, a system of wild capitalism that only benefits the leaders and their friends, a narrow circle. On the side of the forces, they did everything to dismantle our armies. They said to cut the military budget, to stop equipping them, to stop training, which was done in the sub-region. Our armies were reduced to nothing. They were preparing for it. Meanwhile, large countries like Niger and Mali experienced a resurgence of what they called rebellions. Separatists from nowhere tried to divide these countries, but they did not succeed. But the culmination of their plan was that from the 2010s, that is to say 20 years later, terrorism would arrive in our territories. Indeed, we saw it emerge 20 years later. Individuals were chosen, and they were simply told to go fight them. Their armies are dismantled. We work to make that happen. They will never be able to stop you, and you will impose on them what we want. These individuals recruited young, innocent, and ignorant people from our various villages. They were drugged and made to kill their compatriots. And the evil was born. How were these individuals maintained? Don't forget, here in Burkina Faso, we were hosting terrorist leaders. It was well planned. And how to achieve it? When these terrorists were to launch, was there someone who could possibly intervene in favor of our states? I named here the late General Muammar Gaddafi. He had to be eliminated. And one day, they found him. They eliminated him. They then had the ingenious idea of making all the weapons and ammunition stores available to these terrorists who were to dismantle our sub-region. The plan was perfect. And from then on, they got ready for battle. They began to move south. We still remember when the regime in place in Bamako at that time called on foreign forces. It didn't take more than a few hours for them to deploy. It was well prepared. They deployed, pretended to stop terrorism. And immediately, we saw the installation of several foreign forces in Mali for 10 years. During these 10 years, when terrorism was contained in the north, it spread to the south, and Burkina Faso was infested starting in 2015. Everything was well planned and well thought out. I still remember when we were in Ber, north of Timbuktu. We saw special forces from those countries pass us by, go deeper, and upon their return, they were all red. They had small drilling machines and other geological equipment that we observed. We wondered where they found this red earth because patrolling around Ber, we have no red earth. Maybe they were digging, probing. We don't know exactly what it was about. As for Burkina Faso, you must have noticed. All the corps were dismantled. No more training, nothing for the army. They imposed what they called military advisors in all our general staffs, all our schools, and all our strategic structures. When we revolted on September 30, 2022, the first thing was to find out who these military advisors were and where they were. We then identified that the problem was deep, and the first thing was to ask them to leave our army. They left. As I told you not long ago, you cannot hope to find your lost object by calling the one who stole it to come and help you look for it. It was therefore necessary to decide, to make courageous decisions. What we decided to do, it was not without consequence, because when we asked the advisors to leave, we felt the consequences. We were made to understand that we could not make it without them, and every time they told us that it translated into major attacks on the ground. We received the message loud and clear. Thus, at the dawn of 2023, we decided to tell the foreign forces present here to leave, because we want to fight among Burkinabe. They surely did not appreciate it. But why come to die on our lands for us? We prefer to fight ourselves. We asked them to go back home. Unfortunately, I tell you here today, as I like to say, colonization has returned. There are salon slaves who still do not understand. At that time, military officers wrote to us and approached us to tell us that it was a very bad decision and that we would not last 2 months. Notes were written. We were given these notes to provide a strategic analysis. From their perspective, we said, it is either we are sovereign or we remain slaves forever. Indeed, when the last soldier left Burkina Faso, we understood what it was all about. The attacks followed immediately. But what they forgot is that the people of Burkina Faso understood our message and engaged on the same path as us. We reorganized quickly, and suddenly we noticed that all the dormant terrorist cells woke up in Burkina Faso. We reorganized the army as quickly as possible, at an unprecedented speed. We created several units, and many more are still to come. We equipped them, and today, this equipment continues, because in the coming days, in the coming months, what you will see coming to Burkina Faso should make our army a force to be reckoned with. We will not spare any expense. We have understood that the fight against imperialism will be hard. Very hard, but only the tough get going, and the Burkinabe are tough, so we will get going. This is to tell you that imperialism takes all its time when it wants to destabilize. It looks at the immediate if it is not possible. It lays the groundwork to do it in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But it has no interest in us being independent. Today, all they wish for Burkina Faso is chaos, because they hope to bring these foreign forces here and hope to recover the situation in 10 years. Even in 20 years. But we will never let them achieve this goal. That is why we have warned for more than a year. The local lackeys, the salon slave, so that they do not betray their country for the benefit of imperialism. Some understood, aligned themselves, others did not understand, maybe thinking they were smarter. But today we no longer have feelings on this issue. Anyone who will betray their country for the benefit of imperialism will be dealt with accordingly.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more echoes of current affairs.